Hey everybody, today I'm going to show you how to program an Ableton session and load it full of tracks, create all the automation that we need, and then just set it up really well for rehearsal and for the weekend. So the first step to be able to get rolling on this is just going to Planning Center, figuring out what songs we are using for the weekend. So for this particular weekend, we're using the songs Praise to the Lord the Almighty, Banner, Worthy, and then at the end of service, we've got Unto Him. So to make this go just a little bit faster, actually I already loaded these in to our Ableton stems folder here under Ableton and Ableton stems. But if you needed to do that, all you have to do is just go to wherever the tracks are stored. In our situation, we've got them on this external drive called Heptapod. Shout out to the movie Arrival. But yeah, if you go tracks and then faith tracks here, this is just every single set of stems that we have just lives on this folder, and then you can just copy them over to Ableton stems. So you can see here, those are all these stems that we're going to use for the weekend. So if I go over to our Ableton template right here, this is just a raw template. I think it's like version 6 or something like that. So the very first thing I'm going to do, and this is very important, I'm going to save this as a different file so that we don't overwrite our template. So I go to my desktop, and then I have a folder just for Ableton sessions. So I'm just going to name it today's date, or pardon me, the date of the service, which is the 27th, and then master session. Perfect. And now I can see at the very top it's showing me, hey, we have saved this as a different file. We are not overwriting the template, which is great. And then I'm going to go in here and just rename these. Command R renames these groups. So I'm going to name Praise to the Lord. Whoops. Banner Worthy. And then Unto Him. Perfect. Okay, we're ready to start loading in stems. So this arrow on the top left shows me this kind of little browser area, and then if I go to my Ableton stems, I could see that same folder that we saw earlier. So first song we're doing this weekend is Praise to the Lord the Almighty. So I actually need to load in a couple pieces of information before I pull in these audio files. The first information that I need to load in is I need to give it the meter of the song. So I know this song is in 6/8. Just going to load that in by just typing it in at the top. There's a different way to do that for songs later in the session where we'll actually need to automate some meter and tempo changes. But for the first song, we can just do all the information up here. And then the tempo is 76. So I just type in 76 and we're good to go. Perfect. So I'm going to zoom in here to song 1, and then you'll notice because it's a song in 6/8, because we made that change, this guy isn't actually on a bar. That's problematic. We want him to be. So we're just going to drag him to the closest bar, 66, and then we can start loading in the stems. So I select the stem. You can go one at a time, but if you want to go a little faster as you pull these in, there's a trick I'll show you a little later. But we're just pulling these guys in to their correlating tracks. So like the keys tracks go to the green pads. Perk goes over here to percussion. Click to click, cues to cues. We don't have an electric on this song because this is actually an acoustic arrangement. We'll be doing it full band, but it's actually an acoustic arrangement. And then, now that I've got those loaded in, I'm just going to delete these extra audio files by pressing delete or backspace on whatever device you're on. And these are the stems for the weekend. Looks great. Let's see if they we can make them make sound. Whoops. There we go. Song 1.
Intro 3, 4,
Hey.
5, 6.
Lovely. Okay, we're cooking. So, got song 1 loaded in there. Now, this doesn't really play into this song too much because we're actually doing Praise to the Lord the Almighty in the key of E, which is its original key. But something that we do on all the songs is we're actually going to warp these files the tonal files so that if we need to change keys, we can. So to do that, I just double click on one of the tonal files, and then I'm going to hold shift and just select all of my tonal files. That's going to be my keys, my electrics, all my aux instruments, my air, basically just not my percussion, click and cues. And then I go down to the bottom, and the bottom left you see there's this button called warp. I select that. And then if I were to be transposing this, I would actually go in here and type in how many half steps away I'm going, but I don't need to transpose this one, so we'll revisit that in a little bit. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to load in song 2, but I'm going to figure out where I want to put song 2. So let's play the end of song 1 and think through this. So song 2 begins with a 4 on the floor, nice strong kick. So it's going to keep that energy going. So I don't want these songs to be too far apart. I'm going to have the drums kind of trash can this out, be wash them nice and big, swelling this into song 2. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to have song 2 start on bar 138. So I'll pull over this locator. These locators are super helpful because we actually have MIDI assigned to them, so they're just automatically going to work with our MIDI controllers that we have in the worship center. So I've got that on 138, and then I'm going to open up my automation lanes. And when I do that, it kind of shows us all this hidden stuff. If I go down to the bottom, there's actually an automation lane for our song tempo. So I can create nodes on this. And then change the automation of the tempo as we go along automatically. So I'm going to look at what the tempo is for song 2 banner. It's 83. So if I right click on that, I can edit the value to 83, and then you'll see that as I play this, this tempo meter up here at the top is actually going to go from our 76 to our 83 automatically at the beginning of song 2. And then I'm going to do a similar thing. I'm going to create a time signature change to 4/4, and then you'll also see it go from 6/8 to 4/4 up here. Wow, amazing. Something really important to note here. For the tempo automations, we want this to be stair-stepping, so we want it to be a hard cut from 76 to 83. We don't want... I'm going to zoom out here a little bit. We do not want it to be slowly sliding up from the very beginning of the session all the way to this node to 83, because that is going to create a tempo slope throughout this whole song, which is very bad. Remember, we didn't warp everything, so what would happen then is the items that we warped would be running at a different tempo than the items that we didn't warp. That doesn't go well, let me just tell you. So, perfect. We've got everything automated set up for song 2. So let's load in those stems. I told you earlier, there's kind of a trick to loading in a lot of stems at the same time. If you select some stems, drag and then hold Command, you can see when I press Command, it goes from showing just one of them to showing all of them. So you can load in, as long as they correlate to the right tracks over here on the right side. So you gotta be careful, but like I know all my electrics I'm safe to pull in. I loaded them on the first track and then press Command, drop them in. And that saves a ton of time. This song is unique because it actually has 2 bass aux stems over here. One of them is actually a leave-in tracks track. So I'll walk through what that looks like here in a bit. But for right now, we'll keep chugging. So this song is originally in E flat, but we need to do it in E this weekend. So I'm going to select all our tonal instruments, warp them, and then move them up 1 semitone so they're in the same key. And let's listen to what that sounds like.
And 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, intro, 2, 3, 4.
Oh yeah, that's good. I like it. Okay, so that's song 1 and 2. Let's just keep going. Song 3. Wow, it's way out here. Now, because we started with a 6/8 bar, kind of all our locators are going to be in weird positions. So it's just really important that we make all our locators the start of the bar. You can see we don't want it at 334.2. We want it at 334. Just a whole number there. I'm going to go down here to Worthy, open up that folder, and then step 1 is open up our automations, create a node, make sure it's a stair step, edit the value. Our value 67.5 we see up here on the click track. And then, let's load in some stems. This guy has a lot of keys parts, it's looking like. So I'm going to duplicate those guys and then just pull these guys in. Nice. Okay, that's working. We're going to go the exact opposite direction in terms of warping that we went on the other song. These are in E flat, but we need to go down a whole step to the key of D. And I'm just seeing that because if you look over here on our planning center plan, it'll show me what key we're doing each of the songs in. And then I know the original key because all of the stems say it at the end. Well, let's listen to that, make sure that's working.
Intro 2, 3, 4.
Perfect. Last one up, song 4. Again, I'm going to make sure that this is on a whole number. Well, let's go 330 or 535. And then you see this guy right here. This is actually a loop. Ableton gives you a loop and arrangement view. We use this as a safeguard so that if we accidentally forget to stop the tracks, so let me zoom out so you can see what might happen. If we played the very end of Worthy and we forgot to stop it, this playhead is just going to keep going all the way through the sermon until eventually, at some point probably in the middle of the sermon, it would start playing song 4, which wouldn't be ideal. So what we do is we put this little loop right here. We turn it on using this loop button at the top. And now, once we hit this, it's actually going to just loop that bar infinitely until we would release this, which we are not going to do. So it's just an extra safeguard, which is really helpful. Final song, we got Unto Him. We're still in 4/4, which is great. Edit the value of our stair step automation to 70, 67, 70, perfect. And then just going to load in these stems into, nope, not that folder. Whoopsies, almost made a mistake. Into our Unto Him folder. There we go. I make a lot of mistakes in this, and that's okay. A lot of times you can fix your mistakes. Sometimes, every once in a while, it's just easier to just start over if something gets too terribly wrong, but most times you can fix stuff. It just takes a little time. Song 4.
Intro 2.
That's how they originally sound, but we're doing them in E this week. So warp and then transpose from C to E. That's 4 semitones up. They're going to sound not as good now because we transpose them.
Intro 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, not as great, but that's okay. Zooming out here, and then those are all of our stems. Next thing that I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to add in some drones in some of this empty space. So the drone we use for the start of service, the key of E, I use this OB Reverb EQ pad. It sounds nice. It's got a little energy. It's got a little drive on it. I like to automate my own crossfade by just dragging this little note up here. Just a little ways. So it sounds like this at the beginning. Fades itself in. Lovely. And then the beginning of song 1.
Intro 3, 4, 5, 6.
And what I did there is I deleted a little space here and just shortened up the file. And then I just crossfade it out, so it will fade out over that intro. It's a great way to make it really, really smooth. So I'm going to do a similar thing at the end of song 2 here. Let me pull up the cues for the end of song 2 and then zoom in a little bit. But for this one, I'm going to use a different pad. I'm going to use, instead of the OB Reverb EQ, I'm going to use the KP texture. We're going from E to D, so I'll pull in the D drone. Let's see what we got. I heard it fade in just a little too fast there, so I'm actually gonna put my own fade just a little bit later, shorten up the file. Let's listen again. And that's a lot nicer. So then we'll skip ahead to the beginning of song 3.
Intro 2, 3, 4.
And because this is a quiet song at the beginning, I'm actually just going to leave this drone in all the way until we hit this first chorus.
Chorus 2, 3.
And then I'll do that same
4.
trick of slowly fading it out. So delete a section and then just fade out nice and long over that whole chorus. That'll slowly bring more attention to what the band is doing live and also what those tracks are doing, which is pretty cool. Okay, that's it for drones. Now, you probably noticed this already, but these songs have some live instrument parts in them, and we don't need those in the tracks and to be played live. For instance, here's what the piano part plays on Praise the Lord the Almighty. That's a part that somebody's going to be playing live, so we don't need it in the tracks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select that audio file and press 0. And that just deactivates the clip. If for some reason we need to come back later, say somebody got sick the morning of and we needed to just reactivate one of these parts, we can do that. The audio file is there. We just have to press 0 again. So we're going to do that for all the songs now. So for Banner, we're going to do that for the piano and the acoustic and the bass. We'll leave that leave-in tracks, bass track there. But then also the EG lead we don't need because we've got someone playing that live. So all these aux tracks and then the EG part and then last song, Unto Him. Bam, there we go. So we've gotten all of our live instruments taken care of there. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to add some rehearsal locators in. So obviously we have these locators for the start of songs. So when I press on this computer, if I press 1 and then spacebar, it takes me to the start of song 1 and then it would play. But for rehearsal, it's great to have some extra locators built in for sections we might need to practice specifically. So on this song, I'm going to zoom in and see. Usually I put them towards the end of a song or towards a section that might be a little tricky. So let's see what we got. I think on this song, I want to practice that build up that happens going into the final refrain.
Intro 3, 4, 5. Food 4, 5, 6. Verse 3, 4, 5, 6. Verse 3, 4, 5, 6.
So yeah, there's a breakdown there in that verse, but then halfway through, I think it builds up.
Build it up. 4, 5, 6.
And that's what I want to practice. So I'll put the locator there. For song 2, song 2 is not actually that long, and it flows together. There's like no interludes in this really, so I'll probably just
2, 3, 4.
I'll put it at this chorus before the bridges. We'll probably just do that whole song, though, if we rehearse it. Song 3 is a very long song, though, and it does have a great break point in the middle at this breakdown. So I'm going to put the rehearsal there. Then song 4.
Intro 2, 3, 4. Kick it in 4.
I'm going to put this rehearsal where the band kicks in.
Verse 2.
It's where the band comes in is on verse 2. So we've got those rehearsal locators there. Super helpful. to access those from the computer, our shortcuts just shift and then whatever number song it is. So for song 1, it's just shift 1 and then play.
Verse 3, 4,
And we're there.
5, 6.
Perfect. Okay. I know it's a lot of things, but we're getting to the end here. Next to last thing that we need to do, if I'm remembering this correctly, we need to go up here and we actually we use some live vocal tuning. And how we make that work is we actually use it all through Ableton. We have all the automation, just like we automate the tempo and automate the meter. We automate the vocal tuning through here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to automate one vocal track, and then later on when we load that session in on stage, we'll duplicate it however we need it. But for right now, what we're going to do is we're going to come up here, we're going to open up automation. We're going to open up automation on this tuned vocal track, and then there's 2 lanes here. We've got one that's the scale root and one that's the device on off. So at the very beginning, we want it to be off, and then the first song is in E. So I just create a node here at the very beginning, and E stays in E all the way until we hit this drone, and then we're in the key of D. And then at the beginning of song 4, well, we're back in E. So this path just follows whatever key that we are in for each of the songs. And the trickier path that we have to automate is the one that turns the vocal automation on and off. So we don't want our vocal mics to be on or the tuning to be on the whole time. We just want it on while we are singing. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just examine the beginning of song 1, and then when the verse cue hits, I will turn the automation on.
Verse 3, 4, 5, 6.
Perfect. So that's about where I want it to be for that song. I'll skip ahead. So at the end, I wouldn't want it on for this interlude.
End 3, 4, 5, 6.
Or the intro of song 2, just in case I might want to say something there.
2.
Let's look at song 2 now.
3, 4. Intro.
That's another intro.
Verse 2, 3, 4.
Perfect. And then on the verse, I've got it kicking on again. Let's look at the end of the song. And then it just automates to turn off. Song 3.
Intro 2, 3, 4. Verse 2, 3, 4.
And end of the song. A lot of skipping ahead.
2, 3, 4.
Then we turn it off. And last one.
Intro 2, 3, 4.
Perfect. And the end. And that's it. That's all we have to do for a live automation. And you can see it turns on for song 1, on for song 2, for song 3, and for song 4. So we've got all our automation in there, which is great. Okay. There's so many more little things that we could do. We could tweak tracks or adjust levels or anything, but that's the high-flying view of what we're doing. We're just loading in the stems, and then we mute any of the live instruments, we add our rehearsal locators, and then we do the vocal automation. Very last thing, and this is quite important. When we save it, we need to come up here and press collect all and save. What this does is this actually saves all of the audio files that we brought in and makes it a package so that when we share this folder, maybe move it to a different computer, all of the audio files are saved. They're not living on the external drive anymore. They're living in this Ableton session. So that's super important. At the very end, whenever you're done, just press collect all and save. That is it. That is how we program Ableton.